Welcome back to Godless and Grounded. Imagine waking up in a world where the idea of a god never existed. No temples, no churches, no one telling you that you're born sinful or that your life is being watched by an invisible being. You just live, think, explore, love, and grow. Now ask yourself this. Would that world be worse off? Or would it actually be freer, kinder, and more rational? The truth is, not believing in God doesn't automatically mean chaos, emptiness, or moral collapse. It's often assumed that without God, people would become selfish or life would lose all meaning. But history, logic, and everyday life tell us a different story. That's the idea behind this video. No God, no problem. Because when we really break it down, the absence of a divine figure doesn't take anything valuable away. It actually opens doors to understanding ourselves, each other, and the universe in a much clearer way. Let's start with a simple question. Where does morality come from? Many believe morality comes from religion, that without divine rules, people would run wild. But here's the thing. Our moral instincts didn't come from books written thousands of years ago. They came from living together, cooperating, surviving as a species. Even animals who have no concept of gods show compassion, empathy, and fairness. Elephants mourn their dead. Dolphins help injured companions. Chimpanzees share food. If morality were strictly tied to religion, how do these creatures know how to behave? We develop moral values not because of commandments, but because we understand suffering. We don't punch strangers in the face not because some holy book says not to, but because we wouldn't want that to happen to us. That's empathy, and it's built into us as social beings. Societies that thrive are the ones that build trust, fairness, and cooperation, not the ones that fear punishment from a higher being. Now take a look around the world. Some of the most peaceful, happiest countries are also the least religious. Countries like Sweden, Norway, Japan, the Netherlands, and Denmark consistently score high in human development, life satisfaction, and education. These places aren't ruled by fear of divine judgment. In fact, belief in God is on the decline in these societies. Yet crime is low, people help one another, and public trust is high. Isn't that telling? When people are educated, when their basic needs are met, and when they live in fair societies, they tend to drift away from religion, not because they're evil, but because they no longer need the promise of heaven or the threat of hell to be good. This leads us to another point, meaning. Many think without God, life becomes meaningless, but meaning isn't something handed down from above. It's something we create. A parent finds meaning in raising their child. An artist finds meaning in their work. A scientist finds meaning in uncovering how the world works. People find meaning in relationships, learning, helping others, pursuing dreams. These sources of meaning don't require belief in the supernatural. They're rooted in real life. And when you realize that this life is all you get, it becomes even more precious. There's no second round, no reset button. That makes every moment more valuable. You hug tighter, love deeper, laugh louder. You stop wasting time waiting for divine signs and start taking responsibility for your own story. You become the author of your own life, not just a character waiting for instructions from a cosmic script. Some worry that without God, there's no justice. That if someone commits a terrible crime and dies without punishment, they escape justice. But let's be honest. Millions of people have committed horrific acts throughout history while claiming to do it in the name of God, and they faced no punishment after death. Justice isn't guaranteed with belief in God. It's something we must pursue here and now. That's why we build laws, systems, and communities to create real-world accountability. Hoping for justice in the afterlife often distracts from making sure it happens in this one. And speaking of suffering, why is there so much of it if there is a loving and all-powerful God? Diseases that kill children, natural disasters that wipe out entire communities, birth defects, chronic pain, famine. The usual answer is, it's all part of a plan, or God works in mysterious ways. But that's not a real answer. That's a way to stop asking hard questions. If there's no God pulling the strings, then these tragedies don't have hidden meaning. They're challenges we must understand and solve ourselves. Science, not prayer, helps us find vaccines. Human kindness, not holy books, drives people to donate blood, build homes, and feed the hungry. Religion often tells us to accept suffering as noble or part of a test. But without that mindset, we're more likely to treat suffering as something we should eliminate, not endure. If a child is sick, we take them to a doctor, not a priest. If an earthquake hits, we send rescue teams, not wait for miracles. It's not divine will that heals the world, it's human will. Let's talk about freedom. In many societies, belief in God has been used to control people. What they can wear, who they can love, what questions they can ask. In some places, asking the wrong question can get you ostracized, arrested, or worse. Religion can act like a cage with invisible bars, but without it, you're free to think for yourself. You can explore the universe without feeling guilty. You can ask, what if I'm wrong, and not fear punishment. You can love who you love without shame. You can live without constantly trying to please an invisible being whose rules often seem contradictory or outdated. Without the concept of a God watching your every move, your morality becomes authentic. You help others because it feels right, not because you're trying to earn points for an afterlife. You take care of the planet because it's your only home, not because you fear divine punishment. You speak the truth because honesty matters, not because you're afraid of sin. Some people find comfort in belief, and that's understandable. But comfort isn't the same as truth. A child might find comfort in thinking a parent is always watching over them, but as we grow up, we learn to stand on our own. That's what moving beyond belief can feel like. Not falling into a dark hole, but stepping into your own power. Let's also consider the burden of religious guilt. So many people walk around feeling unworthy, dirty, or sinful just for being human. Religion often teaches us that we're broken by default, born flawed, needing constant forgiveness. But what if we reject that idea altogether? What if you're not broken? What if you're just human, trying your best, making mistakes, learning, growing? You don't need invisible forgiveness. You need self-understanding, support from others, and sometimes a good night's sleep. And when it comes to death, the idea of no afterlife might seem scary at first. But isn't it scarier to spend your whole life preparing for a place you might never go, following rules you never questioned, and missing out on the beauty of the here and now? Life is short, yes, but that's what makes it beautiful. A flower is precious because it doesn't last forever. A sunset moves us because it disappears. And love, kindness, laughter, they matter more because we know they're finite. When you live without belief in God, you begin to see things differently. Not darker, but clearer. You stop searching for divine purpose and start creating human purpose. You stop dividing people into believers and non-believers and start seeing people as individuals. You stop trying to align your life with ancient texts and start aligning it with reason, evidence, and empathy. And no, this doesn't mean life becomes easy or perfect. It means life becomes honest. It becomes yours. You stop outsourcing your decisions to a higher power and take ownership of your actions. That's not scary. That's empowering. The universe is vast, mysterious, and beautiful, and the fact that it exists without needing a god to explain it doesn't make it any less meaningful. In fact, it makes it more impressive. Stars aren't lanterns hung by a deity. They're giant balls of gas burning billions of miles away, shaping galaxies and forging the elements that make up our very bodies. That's awe-inspiring. We are made of star stuff, not magic. So when people say, without God, life is meaningless, maybe what they're really saying is, without someone telling me what to do, I don't know how to live. But here's the good news. You don't need someone else's map to find your way. You're capable of building your own values, creating your own purpose, and finding your own joy. You're capable of compassion without commandments, of wonder without worship, and of goodness without gods. No God, no problem isn't a slogan. It's a reality for millions. It's not about arrogance. It's about humility, the kind that says, I don't have all the answers, but I'll keep asking questions. It's about curiosity, growth, kindness, responsibility, and freedom. It's about choosing truth over comfort, reality over illusion, and living this one life to the fullest. And if you've ever felt that quiet voice inside you asking, "What if I don't believe?" Know that you're not alone. You don't need permission to think for yourself. You don't need belief to be a good person. And you certainly don't need a God to live a meaningful, moral, and joyful life. Because the truth is, when you step away from belief in God, you don't lose anything worth keeping. You gain something powerful, yourself.